Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something that's, quietly becoming the most important skill in building advanced AI. It's called context engineering. And honestly, it's the secret sauce that separates a cool but flaky demo from an AI agent that's actually reliable and powerful.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a big deal, we gotta start with a huge problem that developers are wrestling with every single day. Let's call it the agent's dilemma.
Right? I mean, you've seen it. These AI agents can do some incredible, almost magical things. But have you ever noticed that when you give them a really long, complex task, they just fall apart? They get confused or distracted, or they just totally lose track of what they were supposed to be doing. So what is really going on under the hood? And here's the thing. The problem isn't that the AI isn't smart enough. Not at all. It's that its working memory, what we call its context, just gets totally cluttered and overwhelmed. This leads to these really classic failures, like context poisoning, where it gets fed bad info, or distraction from totally irrelevant details, and even context clash, where it gets conflicting instructions and just freezes up.
All right, so the best way to wrap your head around this is with a simple analogy. Think of the AI like a computer, and this whole context engineering thing, well, that's basically its operating system.
Yeah, and it's a great analogy, one that folks like Andre Karpathy talk about a lot. The large language model, the LLM itself, that's like the CPU. It's the super powerful brain. But its context window, that's the RAM. It's the agent's short-term working memory. And just like RAM, it's incredibly fast, but it is so limited in size.
And that is where context engineering makes its grand entrance. It's all about acting like that operating system for the AI. Its entire job is to manage that tiny, precious RAM, that context window, and to make absolutely sure that only the perfect piece of information gets loaded in at exactly the right time.
So how does this quote-unquote operating system actually pull this off? Well, it really boils down to 4 key strategies.
Yep, there are 4 of them, and these strategies really are the backbone of how modern AI agents are built. So let's break them down one by one. First up, we have writing context, and this is pretty much what it sounds like. It's about giving the agent an external place to save stuff. Think of it like a digital notepad. So instead of trying to cram every single detail into its limited working memory, it can just offload it, jot it down, and refer back to it later, just like we do.
Now, this writing can take a couple of different forms. You've got scratch pads, which are basically for temporary notes just for the task at hand, like an agent writing down its step-by-step plan. But then you have long-term memories, and this is the cool stuff that sticks around across different conversations, letting an agent actually learn and remember things about you over time.
Okay, strategy number 2 is selecting context. So if writing was like saving information to a huge external hard drive, selecting is all about being a super strict bouncer for what gets let back into that limited RAM. You only want the most relevant, most crucial piece of information for the exact step it's working on right now.
And this slide right here shows you exactly why selecting is so important. This is a super common problem. You give an agent, say, 10 tools, and its success rate is fantastic. But look what happens when you give it 30 or 100. The performance just tanks. It gets totally overwhelmed by choice. And that's why intelligently selecting only the tools it needs right now is an absolute game changer. All right, on to our third strategy, compressing context. As an agent works on a problem, its memory starts filling up with all the conversation history, data, you name it. There's a term for this, token bloat. It's where the context window just gets clogged. So, compression is all about fighting that bloat by either summarizing things or just trimming away the fat to keep only the absolute essentials. And we're seeing this out in the wild with real agents already. Some systems are designed to automatically summarize the entire conversation history the moment that memory gets close to full. Others are a bit more targeted, like a research agent that'll summarize one section of a paper it just read before it moves on to the next. It's a really clever way to keep the AI focused and not get bogged down in details. And that brings us to our 4th and final strategy, isolating context. The idea here is simple but powerful. Instead of handing one poor agent a single, massive, messy problem, you break that problem down into smaller chunks. Then, you give each little piece its own clean, separate context window to work in. It's kind of like creating dedicated, soundproofed offices for each part of the job. Probably the most exciting way we see this is with multi-agent systems. This is so cool. Instead of one agent trying to be a jack of all trades, you have a whole team of specialist agents.
Each one gets its own memory, its own little workspace, and they can all tackle their part of the problem at the same time, in parallel. You're basically multiplying the system's ability to think.
Okay, so we've got these 4 really powerful strategies, right? Writing, selecting, compressing, and isolating. But before you can even think about using them effectively, there are 2 prerequisites, 2 things you absolutely have to get right first. You can think of these as the table stakes, the bare minimum to even play the game. First, you must have observability. You need to be able to see and track your token usage at every single step, because, you can't manage what you can't measure. And second, you need a rock-solid evaluation system. You have to be able to tell if all your fancy context engineering is actually helping, or if it's accidentally making things worse.
Okay, let's zoom out and bring this all home. At the end of the day, why does any of this matter? Why is mastering context engineering such a big deal? It matters because this is the line in the sand. This is what separates a fun but ultimately fragile chatbot from a genuinely powerful and reliable AI system. Look, mastering the flow of information, it isn't just some minor tweak. It is the key to unlocking that next generation of AI we're all waiting for, the kind that can actually handle the messiness of the real world. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't some niche academic theory anymore. The folks building the most advanced agents out there, companies like Cognition, they've literally said that context engineering is now the #1 job for their engineers. It is rapidly shifting from a specialized skill to the absolute core of what it means to build with AI.
And that leaves us with a really interesting, kind of provocative question to chew on. As we go forward, is it possible that the race for just bigger and bigger models is going to start taking a back seat to the much more elegant, more difficult challenge of managing what those models are thinking about? Maybe, just maybe, the future of AI isn't about more raw horsepower, but about the art of focus.